Did you hear that?
All right, look forward to tonight. Let's get the opening bell and the CNBC real-time exchange.
That wasn't just the opening bell for 21 Capital going public. That was the sound of the beginning of a new revolution in banking. Uncle Jamie won't be the boss for too long. With Jack Mallers, Paolo, Michael Saylor, and the rest of the Bitcoin Avengers teaming up, the Thanos of Wall Street has finally met his match.
You buy the meta planet, you buy the strategy, you buy the equity, and you strap on for the rocket ride. It's going to be very volatile, and you're going for the next $1 trillion stock.
And with it, the next $1 trillion stock is about to be minted. Howard Lutnick said a year ago that we're going to see all of the big banks and the brokers move into Bitcoin. And that time is now. Get your popcorn ready. It's go time. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's freaking go. Have you been hiding under a rock, or have you heard that Jack Mallers, Tether, SoftBank, and Cantor Fitzgerald just took 21 Capital public? A massive move that will shake up the balance of power in Wall Street. Cantor Fitzgerald is a primary dealer with the Fed, and its former CEO is the Secretary of Commerce for Donald Trump in the U.S. public administration. Tether is the largest stablecoin issuer in the world and is the 17th largest holder of U.S. treasuries on the planet. SoftBank, it just manages $46 trillion in assets. And it's funded every major internet and technological revolution since the dot-com bubble. Oh yeah, we already know about Jack Mallers, the founder of Strike. Oh yeah, and Jack Mallers' grandfather was the CEO and chairman of the Chicago Board of Trade. Pretty important. Today is the beginning of the revolution. It's Jack's first day on the job, and he says they're just getting started.
Who should buy your stock? Why wouldn't they just buy Bitcoin then?
Well, because they don't have Tether, SoftBank, and the cash flows that we'll produce. So, I agree with that. We do not want the market to think of us and price us as just a treasury asset. That is not us at all. We're going to acquire as much Bitcoin as we possibly can. I mean, I think it's crazy that we own over 4 times the amount of Bitcoin Coinbase does, and this is my first day in the public markets. But, we also want to build massive businesses, and I think the markets will appreciate, Tether's no slouch to that.
21 Capital has major plans to be the largest holder of Bitcoin, even larger than MicroStrategy. Their plans are to hold over 500,000 Bitcoin in the near term, but they already hold 43,000 Bitcoin. And they're going to do that with the backing of Tether, the world's largest and most profitable conglomerate.
We have what it takes to build massive cash generating businesses within the industry. Strike is one of the most profitable per employee Bitcoin companies in the world. Tether is probably the most profitable per employee company, period, in the history of mankind. So we have lots of ideas and lots of future plans to build cash flow within the market that gives investors an ability to participate in Bitcoin story through an operating business. And then conversely, we're already the 3rd largest corporate holder of Bitcoin. We will be able to add to that position substantially once we're approved. And we want to be the largest holder of Bitcoin. And we think, we can take the best of what strategy is, which is a large Bitcoin holder and ability to accumulate, whether it's through monetizing volatility, cheap costs of capital, access to the capital markets, and the best of someone like Coinbase, which is a first mover and a leader within the industries they focus, which Tether and I have been in our careers. So that's us. We do not necessarily want to add leverage to something like our MNAV. We do not want to add leverage to our common equity.
The funny thing about this revolution is that they're actually laying down the receipts to prove that this is a revolution using Bitcoin. They transferred their 43,000 Bitcoin on chain for a fee of $1.60. How about that, Jeffrey Epstein's banker?
In Bitcoin specifically, you had the JP Morgan CEO and chairman Jamie Dimon calling it essentially pet rock, and once again calling into question its worth and its value here. I would love to get your reaction, especially as some of the financial industry elites and figureheads are continuing to cast some doubt here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brad. What do I think about Jeffrey Epstein's banker being concerned that a distributed, decentralized, open public money could potentially be used for bad things, sitting on a ski resort in Davos? I don't really care. I don't know why anyone cares.
That's a clear middle finger to the establishment. And I know, right now, some of you are probably saying this is the peak of the bubble. Bitcoin treasury companies that don't produce anything, make any revenue going public, and siphoning off your capital and hard-earned money into products that mean and do actually nothing. This sounds sort of like a Tulip Mania. But if you actually have heard about the Tulip Mania, you'll understand that Bitcoin isn't a part of that. It's the most meaningful technological innovation to happen. Listen to this clip.
Like, everyone goes, Bitcoin is a bubble. It's tulips. Okay. Tulips was the bubble in tulips in Amsterdam in 1630. That bubble in Amsterdam, where is the centre of the global flower industry today? It is in Holland. The Netherlands has been the centre of the global flower industry for 400 years. That tulip bubble brought 400 years of prosperity to Amsterdam. So to call it tulips is actually a compliment, not an insult. And then you go, what is a bubble? Well, I'll tell you what a bubble is. A bubble is a bull market in which you don't have a position. It is a psychological way of justifying that you didn't invest in something to call it a bubble. So you can call it a bubble and you can dismiss it. But the potential of Bitcoin to be the default cash system of the internet and the default savings vehicle of the internet is so extraordinary, I would argue that the risk is not owning Bitcoin, the risk is not owning Bitcoin, if that makes sense. Everyone should have an allocation in their portfolio. And don't try and use the fact that I don't understand it as an excuse. Because most people don't understand how the combustion engine works, and they still own a car. Most people don't understand hypertext transfer protocol, and they still use the internet.
And the most interesting thing about this whole Bitcoin thing, not only that the tulips did stay around and made Norway and Sweden the largest tulip and flower industry in the world, well, it's not being backed by tulip kind of investors. These are die-hard investors that ride or die with Bitcoin and aren't selling their Bitcoin. This is a clip from Howard Lutnick's son, the now CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, on what would happen if Bitcoin's price crashed by 50%.
I have hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin. And it will be billions. Every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer.
He doesn't sound like a tulip investor to me. What about his dad? That doesn't sound like a tulip investor to me. A year ago, he forecasted that all of the major big banks and brokers were going to be onto Bitcoin. And he was right. Except the only thing that is different about this clip than the reality is he thought he was going to be the CFTC chair. He's actually the Secretary of Commerce. But still, all the big banks are coming.
You will see all the traditional financial service companies, the big banks, the big brokerage companies, they're all going to go headfirst into Bitcoin pond. That's what's going to happen, and it's coming. It's a slow, steady process, but eventually there's going to be a CFTC chair who says, you know what, Bitcoin is a financial asset, and we're going to treat it as such. And when that happens, you're going to see Bitcoin move in a very, very strong, positive direction. So that's why I'm a fan of Bitcoin. It's going to go much higher. It always bounces around like any other financial asset, but ultimately over the next 5 years, as it gets invited into this party, up we go.
And Tether, along with 21 Capital, is going to be the biggest bank in the world. Can you imagine the amount of deposits coming into their digital bank every single day so that people can get USDT or synthetic dollars? Can you imagine how much Bitcoin they will buy on the backs of those interest payments? Can you imagine all of the lending that Cantor Fitzgerald is going to do with Bitcoin products? Remember, they launched their Bitcoin-backed lending products a year ago. Well, you probably forgot, but now you know because we dropped that alpha on this channel. But before we go any further, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Ledn's been the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans since 2018. They allow you to unlock capital from your Bitcoin without selling your Bitcoin. If you want a $1,000 fiat loan, well, you post $2,000 worth of Bitcoin collateral. The loan is funded in less than 6 hours, and the process takes just 2 minutes to fill out an application. There's no credit check, and you can have complete confidence because your Bitcoin can be seen on an address in the platform so that you know that it's not being rehypothecated or sent out or lent out without your permission. They've issued over $9 billion worth of loans to tens of thousands of customers, so you can rest assured that you're in good hands. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply to get started. And you can also become sovereign in your Bitcoin journey by having an asset that allows you to protect value and your sovereignty in a single asset. Well, you can get the value part, but the sovereignty part might take a little coaching and help. Work with the team at thebitcoinway.com in order to know exactly what to do and how to become sovereign with your Bitcoin. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. At the end of every episode, I like to leave people with a message about hope, why young people should consider Bitcoin. I can't think of a better clip than this from Jeff Walton in a conversation that he had with Brahm on Bitcoin for Millennials. If you can't buy real estate, if you can't buy bonds, if the stock market is overvalued, then where do you turn?
A lot of people don't know, like, I grew up like lower middle class. I'm an only child. Like, I don't speak with my parents anymore. I've got nothing to fall back on. So every risk that I've had to take in my life, or anything I've needed to build for myself, is truly, in the spirit of like Western America, I've had to like build it myself. And so that's required me to like be really analytical about everything I've done. Like every risk that I've taken has been just so incredibly calculated that it's like I have to succeed. This needs to succeed, or else I'm screwed. I can't go live in my parents' basement, right? Like I got to go figure something else out. And so that necessity is really like what's landed me where I'm at, and having to go figure this out and like rationalize it. And then once you just keep digging, like I just keep digging and keep rationalizing things, and like, okay, this is the only solution. Like this is the best use of time, energy, money, and focus into perpetuity, because it's not real estate, it's decaying. There's so much monetary premium that's stuck in real estate. You're like, all these bonds look horrible. 99.9% of the stocks in the stock market don't make any money. So I've got to make a bet on Mag 7. I think valuations are incredibly high in the pure equity market. Okay, so PE, so I could go into private equity or private credit. And like, this just seems like a bunch of schmoozing and bullshit, and nobody really knows anything, and it's illiquid, and I'm not going to get capital for 10, 15, 20 years. So, it's like none of that makes any sense. And so really it's like, it's what's left. It's like, this is what our generation like can hold and build and be a part of, and like actually make a better world. Like the world can be improved here with this instrument. So yeah, man, there's a lot here. Like, I'm glad you're doing this podcast. It's good. It's necessary.
This isn't the dilemma only for Americans and American millennials. This is a problem for people globally. Listen to this clip from the Minister of State, Bilal bin Saqib from Pakistan.
I think for many Pakistanis, Bitcoin is not theory. It's a relief. It solves problems that traditional systems have not solved for decades. First, I think, is savings. When your currency has lost over 50% of its value over the past 5 years, you don't need a lecture. You need a hedge. Why should you be penalized for somebody else's monetary policy? Bitcoin gives people a way to store value outside volatility, which is created by politics, printing, and inflation. Second, I believe, is access. Millions of Pakistanis, over 100 million Pakistanis, are still unbanked. And Bitcoin gives them a financial identity without waiting for an account that they might never be offered. And I would say that third is cross-border earnings. Pakistan is home to one of the largest freelancer nations, and Bitcoin and blockchain rails allows them to get paid globally, instantly, and transparently. I think for many young people in Pakistan, Bitcoin is the first time they felt that their money belonged to them and not to any specific system.
Bitcoin gives people a way to store value outside of politics, outside of money printing, and outside of inflation. Pakistan is coming, and so is the rest of the world. Tether is at the center of the new financial system, and Jack Mallers is the right CEO with the right financial backing and experience in order to bring this revolution about. He's been debanked by the system. He's been outside of this system, and he has family that's been inside of the system. What better person to bring about this revolution? It wouldn't be right if I didn't hit y'all with a sports reference. They call me Coach Cook after all. So let me leave you with this gem from Coach Signetti, the Great. Every day has a life of its own, and regardless, Bitcoin treasury companies buy Bitcoin. Regardless of the circumstance, they're fast, physical, and relentless. Each day has a mind of its own. Regardless of the circumstance, whether we're winning too much or whether we're losing, whether the government says we're going to shut it down or not, we continue to buy Bitcoin because we play to a standard.
That team, for about 3 straight weeks, from the first play to the last play, Fast, physical, relentless. Smart, disciplined, poised. One play at a time, 6 seconds of play. Every play's got a life and a history of its own. Like it's nothing. Not affected by success, not affected by failure. On to the next play. Never satisfied. Playing to a standard, not the circumstances of the game. You're up in the fourth quarter, 52-7. Okay, it's not okay to let up because of the circumstances of the game, because you're playing to a standard.
The Bitcoin standard. And that's the new standard that's coming about. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the beginning of the new revolution. One of the ways you can take part in the new revolution is by not just buying sats and taking sats into cold storage with partners like Ledn, partners like the Bitcoin Way. It's actually mining sats. You can buy a state-of-the-art mining machine and not have it in your basement, but actually have people like Saz Mining, the leaders in Bitcoin mining, manage these machines for you with 100% carbon-free, 100% clean renewable energy. There's no middlemen, there's no contracts. You buy a rig, they manage it. You get to write off the depreciation and all of the things that are associated with it. Use the QR code to earn sats while you sleep. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.